What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the DGD Podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds. Show is brought to you by our friends over at Alumni Hall. Get yourself geared up for any Georgia game, anything, really. Get yourself some Georgia gear, whether it be shirts, long or short, hoodies, cold weather's coming, fire pits, you name it, they've got it, and it's all licensed. Make sure to give them a shout out. Go to in-stores in Athens or DGDpodcast.com. Look for the Alumni Hall button. Click it, shop, get 8% going to the Classic City Collective if you use our website. If you can make it in stores, get 10% off your entire order mentioned in the show. Thanks, Alumni Hall. Now, with that being said, it's the Ole Miss preview. Huge game. Can't make that up. It's just massive game. We're going to cover that, go in depth about that, and we're also going to talk a little bit about some recruiting. Georgia staying hot, just extremely hot right now on the recruiting trail. Also got the picks for the week and best bets if you're looking for some money to be made. So stick around. We're starting right now. First things first, let's talk about this recruiting. We'll get the bad out the way first. Stephon Shivers officially decommits from the University of Georgia today. But what does that mean? I think you see a couple guys get into this class now that he's officially decommitted. Kirby always seems to do this. There's been a couple names mentioned over on the Patreon. If you're not familiar, patreon.com/DGD podcast. I think you look at a guy like Jeremiah McLeod, former Florida commit. Definitely think he can come into the class, make some waves. Also, Kevin Wynn, Florida State commit. I think either one of those guys comes into this class, takes over Stephon's spot, becomes a difference maker, especially when you project what you're looking at in the class when all is said and done. Definitely think that's something. Obviously, got a little bit of bad news right with a decommit. You never want to see a decommit. It happens. But at the same time, this was something that was kind of expected for a while. And it is what it is, right? It's just the world of recruiting. But ultimately, if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm not sweating this. Not sweating it at all. Right? If you're a Georgia fan, don't sweat this. Good is coming from that. Just going to let that be known. So keep that in mind. You've got some interesting things coming for sure. Now, with that being said, also some good news. CJ Wiley, out of the blue, announces his commitment to the University of Georgia. If you're not familiar with this name, I don't know why you're not. Milton High School receiver, 6'4", almost, I think 6'4", 200. Ready to go. I think he will come in and be an impact player potentially for this class and the receiving class. Now you're pairing CJ Wiley and Talon Taylor. James Coley in this receiving group in 2025 is looking awfully stout. Also, keeping in mind you've got Landon Ralden, another name. So you pair those three with Blackshear and Tyler Williams, and your receiving core is straight. It's straight. A huge get, obviously. His teammate, right, Ethan Barbour, tight end commit, obviously. So you're getting a couple of those guys on there. I'm ecstatic about this receiving core coming into the 25 class. I'm really excited to see what they bring. Excited for CJ now that you've got that big-bodied receiver that you can go forward to. It's a good feeling. It's always a good feeling when you get that. Keep in mind too, for those that aren't familiar with his recruitment, commits to FSU out of nowhere. I think everybody had thought he was a Georgia guy anyway. On the commitment day, he announces FSU. Also says that his recruitment was still open. He was going to take listens and looks around too. So it's very interesting how all that worked out that day, but ultimately decommits from Florida State, and now he is in the fold in Athens. So that's huge news for that receiving core in 2025. All right, listen, there's a lot of guys that have potential to be leaving after this year. So you know that the bodies are going to be coming in. And that's just a really good one to have, especially in the state of Georgia. That was Kirby's big priority too, him and Talon. And now you got both. So always good to get that recruit, especially that type of recruit. So that's always good news for the Dawgs there. Also, while we're talking receivers, recent updates in the Colby Young situation. Very interesting to hear. If you're not familiar with that, Colby Young's, I guess the woman in the witness or the victim or whatever, basically filed an affidavit saying that he did nothing, asking for charges to be dropped, which could lead to a possible reinstatement. But pump the brakes a little bit. Keep in mind that Georgia, as a football program, will not do anything until the charges are officially dropped through the Athens Clarke County Court. So I'm looking at it that way right there. That's logically thinking what I would say. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do think that's a positive situation to monitor moving forward too. Because if you can get Colby Young back, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. Huge X receiver that you've been missing for most of the year. It would be nice to have him back. But gotta let the court system play itself out. If the charges are indeed dropped through the courts, there's no reason to believe that Kirby and the football team won't take a look at reinstating him almost immediately. You would think. We'll see. All right, we'll see. I know there's been a lot of culture issues there based off of the, all season incidents and things like that. But if he did nothing wrong, if that has come to be found out that he did nothing wrong and the court's cases dropped, reinstate the kid. It's kind of a shitty situation, but if he did nothing wrong, there shouldn't be any kind of extra punishment there. So that's just my take on that. But I wanted to get that out there too, because that's something to monitor for sure. And everyone needs to do that. Let's see, while we're at it, I got people here listening and watching. Make sure you're hit that like button. You're following us, you're subscribing to us. It's all free and it does a lot for the show. Also for the podcast listeners on Apple and Spotify. Hey, leave us a rate and review, 5 stars preferred. But tell us how you feel. I want to talk about this Ole Miss game. Let's transition into the meat and potatoes of the show, the Ole Miss game. Number 2, Georgia. Number 16, Ole Miss. In Oxford. It's a huge matchup. Georgia coming off the Florida game. Carson Beck struggling a little bit. Georgia still wins that game. But there's a lot of feel to it. And depends on how you feel. There's potential that Georgia is being doubted again. Now, is it justified? I think that's a question that needs to be asked. Is it justified? Yes and no. Carson Beck can play better. I think everyone here knows it. I think Carson knows it himself. But you've also got to understand that Georgia, despite giving the ball away, is still putting up 30-plus points, and they're winning games. Some of them aren't even really that close, right? You give up 3 turnovers, and you beat Florida by 2 scores. Texas, you double them up, giving them 4 ball, give them 3 and a fumble. Or no, excuse me, that's Alabama. Give them 3 picks, and you still double them up 30-15. Alabama's your one hiccup. So can it be fixed? Absolutely. Georgia's not playing a complete style of offense. And that's just something that Georgia fans have to understand. I'm sure we all are understanding that right now. But at the same time, keep in mind, like I said, Georgia's still beating teams. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But I do want to bring up what Georgia has to do to win this game. This is another road game. And, you look back to the Texas game. Yes, Kirby's first true marquee road win, right? And you look at that. That could be something that that Kirby pushes past now that's over with. Because for the most part, you hadn't played on the road and won a huge marquee matchup. Do we consider Ole Miss this? I would give them, I think so. It's still a big matchup. So when I look at it, though, I think Georgia has to play to limit turnovers. So we'll start with the offensive side of the ball first. Limit your turnovers. Ole Miss is an explosive team with an explosive offense. They will put points up in a hurry. You cannot allow Ole Miss more opportunities than they're going to get. They will make you pay. I know it's Arkansas. However, 2 turnovers from Arkansas turned into 14 points. Perfect shot last week. They took an SEC team and boat raced them. They just absolutely boat raced them. Now, the one thing, when you look at it too, if you limit turnovers, there's no reason for me to believe that Georgia's offense can't put up 40 points. I understand Ole Miss's defense is good, and we'll talk more about that. But I'm also looking at a sense of, again, the stat that Georgia gives up the ball 2-3 times, and they're still scoring in the 30s. If we don't turn the ball over, there's a good opportunity to capitalize and put points on the board instead of giving the ball away. With that being said, I think Georgia has the talent to go in there and win the game handedly. So when you look into that right there, the first thing you have to do, limit the turnovers. You can't give them opportunities. How does Georgia limit the turnovers? By design, maybe it's time for Beck to look down, check downs. You don't force the ball. It's okay to take a sack from time to time. It's okay. I know we don't want to see that, but as fans, sometimes the check downs are given to you by design. Sometimes it's better to take a sack than to throw a pick. I think we can all agree on that. You have to limit the turnovers. Sometimes taking a sack is a better way to do that than putting the ball at risk. Kirby, Bobo, I'm sure they've talked to Carson about that. You have to trust that they've been talking about that. Maybe you see Carson be a little bit more conservative like we saw last year. Maybe that's the case. I would be okay with that, and I'll tell you why. Last year, everybody wanted to see him get aggressive, throw the ball down the field, right? We were tired of the checkdowns. A lot of people were tired of it. Maybe now is the time you're going back to it. He was careful with the football. When it's available, make the deep throws, but you're protecting the football and trusting your receivers, trusting your tight ends, trusting your guys to make plays. If Ole Miss plays a lot of zone like they did against Arkansas, maybe the flats are going to be open by design. Right? People get tired of checkdowns because it's not flashy, and I understand that. However, when you're analyzing the game, look at the coverage. Depending on what coverage you're given, that might be open. That might be what they're conceding to give you. So take it. Take it. Make a guy miss. Get some yards. Extend drives. Keep that offense off the field. Score points. Win the game. It sounds simple. I understand it's not. It's got to be done. But at the same time, this is a game where you don't want to really force passes that aren't there. You don't want to. Carson's been having issues, especially against Florida, with underneath defenders, right? Underneath zone defenders. So while we're sitting here looking at last year, Carson Beck tearing up zone coverage, that's not happening as much this year. You still got to work around that. Open up and see and don't overthink things. Do not overthink things and go from there. In the meantime, Reynaldo's saying, go Dawgs. Go Dawgs. But yeah, Carson, it all starts with Carson Beck. If Carson Beck protects the football, Georgia has a very good shot to win this game. With that being said, the next key from an offensive perspective, make sure we're executing on offense. Just execute on offense. Don't drop as many passes. All right, run the ball, run block. Pass protection is going to be key in this game. Absolutely crucial in this game. If you protect Carson Beck, their secondary is easily attackable. Easily attackable. Opposing teams are basically taking and getting 10 yards per reception almost on that secondary. And they've got some dudes that can speed rush and get to the quarterback. But if you can protect him, if that means Ernest Green, that means Xavier Truss, Monroe Friendly, this game's on y'all. If y'all can protect and keep Carson Beck upright and give him the time, it could be a long day for Ole Miss. It could be. You're sitting here looking at Walter Nolan, Princely, all right, so Suntarine Perkins, I guess that's how you say his name. Those guys can get after the quarterback. They've created a lot of havoc. Right? They do a lot of stunts. Well, it's going to be tricky, right? They're gonna create some havoc by doing those stunts. But Georgia has to capitalize when they do that. When you stunt that much the way they do, it can create some voids in their defense. Georgia has to exploit that when it's available. If you do that, there might be the potential for a home run shot. There might be. I know Arkansas game, there was one that could have easily been a home run shot had the quarterback kept the ball. If he would have given the ball up, if I don't know if it was one of the Arkansas quarterbacks, he gives the ball to the running back. The running back is gone, untouched. Dog Fan Man says we need to run the ball with quarterback under center. I wouldn't disagree, but with how fast the defenses are, there's a reason why you see us in shotgun. I understand the logic on running under center. I get it. I would like to see more outside stuff if that's the case. However, when you talk about running the ball, there's also something that I think Georgia has to capitalize on. Ole Miss's linebackers are very susceptible to play action. They flow extremely hard. If you bait them in, you can get a nice shot across the middle where they're coming from. Not saying it's 100% like this, so please don't take this the wrong way. But if we go back, TCU's linebackers would flow extremely hard. They would come crashing down. Georgia did a lot of misdirection. Georgia did a lot of play action, and it cooked those linebackers. Could we see some of the same? Possibly. In my opinion, if I was a coordinator, I would try to attack that. I think it gives you an opportunity to get some chunk plays and just creates confusion. So maybe there's some misdirection coming this Saturday. Maybe. I need to see the tight ends get more involved in the passing game as well. I think we're going to see that. Jurasik slowly getting the hang of it, seeing good blocking, but I want to see how he does in passing. Right, he looked good against Florida, had a nice catch and run. But also, I think Lawson Lucky. Right, Lawson Lucky's been the shining point for the receiving aspect of the tight ends, not knocking dealt. I would love to see those guys get involved. Really would. Also, you look at running. Part of me feels that you need to make sure that the receivers are making things easier for Carson Beck. I think you make it easier, things will flow. Carson Beck gets into a rhythm, deadly when he's in a rhythm. If you can get him comfortable and you can get him into a rhythm, good things will come. Good things will come. Good things have to come at that point. ETN's not on the injury report, So you expect him to play. I think you're going to protect him and his ribs from the Florida game. How is that going to be impacting his running ability? We'll see. I think a name that we need to keep in mind that we haven't seen much of, if any at all, Chauncey Bowens. I think Chauncey Bowens might be setting himself up for the potential to get some short yardage situations. And honestly, I think that'd be fun to watch. Very powerful runner. Very powerful runner when you've got Nate and you've got ETN, that thunder, right? Bringing the boom. That can make a difference. Right? That can make a difference, especially on short yardage situations. So I would watch for Chauncey Bowens. And then obviously, like I said, offensive line's got to protect, keep Carson Beck upright, give him time. If you give him time, the secondary for Ole Miss is cooked. You can cook them. You can. Running into space. So you've got to do those things. Those are your steps for offense. Let's transition over to the defense. Pressure, pressure, pressure. I think when you look at Ole Miss offensively, they are not good at running the ball. They are not good at all. Conventional running game is atrocious. When you're relying on Jackson Dart to be your running quarter, like be your runner, your lead runner, that's not good, especially against SEC teams. Georgia has a propensity to completely decimate one-dimensional teams. Can they do that? We'll see. Also, keep in mind, you got to be careful that you never know, but we've seen teams balling out, just balling out and play up when we expect them not to. So we'll see what that looks like. But Jackson Dart has developed as a quarterback from last year. I'm not expecting this game to look like last year. I'm just not doing that. I'm looking at it in a sense of you've got to get him home and get him under pressure and make him uncomfortable. If you can do that, I think you've got to get him to the ground. I've seen enough of him going out and scrambling and making plays. You don't want that to happen. Don't give him the opportunity. So you have to get him home and get in the ground. Don't even think about scrambling. Just get him down in the pocket. This is a game that Georgia needs to, I don't necessarily say replicate the Texas performance. Ideally, sure. But you also have to keep in mind he will run. He has a tendency to pull it down and run. I don't know if you see the Jackson Dart that we did last year being more careless running the ball. I think that's something that people got to remember. He wants to run it like a running back. Georgia hit him like a running back, and then all of a sudden he's out of the game. I think he's more cautious. I think he has to be more cautious. So when it all comes down to it, right, you expect him to possibly run. But if you see him running, understand that he will try to run, so hit him like a running back. That's the way I would look at it. Defensively as well, linebackers, eye discipline. Really for the whole defense, but more so the linebackers, I think, too. They do a lot of, maybe not like pre-snap things, but you have to be aware of their tendencies to make certain plays happen using different personnel formations, different formations and maybe even different personnel. For instance, you have certain concepts that they run, and they'll go right back to it. But instead of maybe put it in 3-by-1, they do it somehow a different way or different formation. However, that different formation yields the same type of concept. That's something that you have to be smart about, understand how to pass things off if you're playing zone defense. We'll see how Georgia handles the coverage and things. Don't really know. I would assume you're probably getting a little bit of man, maybe some zone. However, we'll see what it is. I trust our secondary to make some plays. I think you do get an interception off of Jackson Dart. So we'll see how that looks out from the time being. Going into special teams. I'm going to go into special teams a little bit. It's a little bit different, but I think it's important because Brett Thorson has secretly been the defense's best friend. Let's be honest. He seems to always put the ball into a good spot when punting the ball, putting the opposing defense or offense, in horrible field position. Let's see if that continues. If you have to punt, make them pay, switch to field position, go from there. If in the instance as well that you have to use Peyton Woodring, be efficient. He's been extremely efficient to this point. Just continue to be efficient. Be efficient. You're looking at probably Anthony Evans being out this week as well. I don't necessarily know if you see Malachi do anything crazy. Kirby might have him just kind of calm down, just fair catch, and go from there. We'll see how that goes. But I think when it comes to special teams, you have to be efficient. If you're in a situation where if you have that happen, kick your field goals, be efficient, get points. Ideally go for 7. I think that's self-explanatory. In the meantime, I'm going to ask the live audience, what are you most looking forward to in this game? What is your positional matchup that you feel is the most important to deciding this game? I want to post that question and let you maybe give it a little bit of time for people to respond. In the meantime, I will talk about mine. I think that it's the trenches. Georgia's defense can stifle that offense if you get home, especially with a light box. If you can get home with 5, if you can get home consistently with 5 and cause him to miss throws, I think that's going to be huge for your chances of winning this football game, for Georgia's chances to win the football game. It's easy to understand in that regard. I genuinely look at it in a sense of their offensive line. It's susceptible to getting home. They've given up a lot of pressures. And that's something that Georgia's got to capitalize on. Whether it be Jalen Walker, whether it be Michael, whoever, you have to get home. In the meantime, we're still waiting for some responses in the chat. I'm going to give you my impact players for offense and defense. Impact player for offense, I think it has to be Carson Beck. It has to be Carson Beck. What a way to set the tone moving forward by Carson Beck playing efficient football and being, and executing, not turning the ball over, being efficient, doing everything. He had a good yardage amount last week, but you see those 3 turnovers are what plagues everything. Don't turn the ball over. Be careful with the football. Be efficient. Operate the offense. I think that right there is the recipe for victory for Georgia in this game from an offensive perspective. I move to the defensive side of the ball. My impact player there. I think this is a game where Jalen Walker can wreak havoc. A lot of edge play could go that way. A lot of any edge player, really. I just get this feeling that they're going to try to pass the ball a lot. Now, the question is, do they do a lot of screens? I think if they try to do screens, I honestly think that bodes well for us. In the meantime, they do some plays where they try to hit vertical, but it takes time to develop the routes. In that instance, Georgia has to capitalize. Getting home, your best pass rusher is Jalen Walker, which is why I have him as an impact player, because I think he can create the havoc, get Jackson Dart to the ground enough to really just throw him out of sync. And if you do that, you will win the game. We move on. Folks, for our over-unders presented by Mr. Hot Off himself. This week, since I'm rolling solo right now, I will post them up. Carson Beck, 1.5 interceptions. I'm going under. I have optimism to believe that he's careful with the football. He may throw an interception, but I think he doesn't throw two. And again, if he throws one pick and that's it, I think Georgia can win this game. So I'm going under on the Carson Beck 1.5 interceptions. Arian Smith, 53.5 receiving yards. I think this is a game where Arian goes over. I think with how he can get into space, you get him into space and his speed will do the rest. Give Carson Beck the time, again, going back to the offense, give him the time to get the ball into his hands. Arian Smith might get that in 3 catches. We'll see. We shall see. Moving on to the next one. Michael Williams, half a sack. Ooh. Actually, I'm going to wait a minute. We're welcoming in Star Wars Dog. What is going on, my man?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. Just not over-unders. We'll hold off on the over-unders. We'll get back to it. I want to ask you this, since you're here. Welcome in. So I did our in-depth preview for the most part on the Ole Miss game. So I want to ask your thoughts. How are you feeling about the game tomorrow?
So it all hinges on Beck's performance. I trust our defense phenomenally, but they can only do so much with an offense that has the ability to score a tremendous amount of points if abled. And I believe that we can limit them. I do. But we still need to be able to respond in kind and create our own points. And not that I think that they're better than Texas with their ability to score, but our defense bailed us out, more than we could have ever asked for in that game, right? If we have even the slightest hiccup, like maybe what we have seen with Alabama, right? If we have the slightest defensive hiccup where we are caught on our toes or our heels, if you would, it certainly could be a completely different kind of story, right? So we need to be able to generate our own points and not give them preferable field. So I think the hinge point is completely on Carson, and I'll state this without dogging on him because I'll do that on my show. But if we don't turn the ball over more than one time, I think Georgia gets away with a good game and with a comfortable lead too. Even on the road, I do trust in our defense that much. But if we see 3 turnovers, which, let's be honest, is pretty much Beck's average, I don't feel great. I don't feel great.
I looked at this stat earlier, and while I was talking about it, we're welcoming in. It's a call-in show, so we got Peaches and Cream. What is going on, sir?
Good morning, co-host.
Evening, whatever time of the day it is.
So I was talking about this earlier in the show, and would you be surprised if I told you that despite giving up multiple turnovers, right? You look at 3 against Texas, 3 against Florida, 4 against Alabama, right? Obviously being the hiccup there.
Kind of 5 with the safety.
Yeah. I mean, just for what it's worth, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, technically, yes, but you go what I'm saying. So turnover-wise, right, picks, right? More so picks. I mean, if you want to count the 1 fumble loss.
Yeah. 3 is
Georgia is still into the 30s on offense in regards to points.
outscoring their
Yes.
opponents by double digits every game.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
So now, listen, I preface that by saying that you can't expect to live dangerously, like Austin Powers said, I too like to live dangerously. You got to be careful with that.
Well, they did
You got
pay
to be
for it.
careful with that.
They did pay for it one game. Now let's just see if it was.
You
See
definitely
if it
did
was an
against
investment.
Alabama.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's a consistent thing, throwing more than one or having more than one turnover for this offense, but yet they keep chugging along. So maybe it's just part of the process. I mean, at this point as fans, what more can we expect? Like if there's one, there's going to be three.
Right.
Or might as well be.
Yeah, do the three.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. But
would it be nice to see a clean game? Would it be nice for Carson of old who throws for, 80% a game? No turnovers, 300 yards. Would that be great to see? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? Oof.
There is a rounded feature on StreamYards now, if you want to try that one. No, that's it. It'll be in brand, and there's a rounded and there's a circle feature.
I think I know what you're talking about. Either way, while we do that, we'll focus on that in a little bit.
But no, Brad, say what you said again. I'm sorry, I completely blew that off.
So the turnovers of Georgia's offense at this point, as an observer and fan of the team, we should just expect them. Kind of like
that's where I'm at.
Let's refer to it. Make the analogy of an engine. You need ether to get it started. This is just one of the misses that it has. The offense. It's going to throw a couple of turnovers, but would it be nice to clean them up, especially going towards and into the postseason? Absolutely. Because I mean, we can't forget we're winning by double digits every game, besides the one that what if land doesn't really matter. Still winning games.
Right. Just for the most part, what you said, it's kind of what we've kind of come to acknowledge and expect, right? So, man, it leaves me in a feeling of I want to be an optimistic Georgia fan, but there's a reality that Beck could possibly not play his greatest game, and there could be drop balls again too. It's not all on Beck, but let's be honest, the turnovers mostly are on Beck. So it just I'm very uneasy about this, and I think we should, in all reality, we should be able to handle Ole Miss no problem, because we've faced tougher competition, I think, at this point. And honestly, the Kentucky game gives me hope, because we play a very similar game to Kentucky, and that's why we struggle so hard against them, is because it's hammer meets nail every single time, right? Kentucky was able to get their business done with them, so it should be an easy day. ETN, I don't know if he's playing or not. I would love the run game to be more prevalent, but I'm not sure. I believe in Nate, but boy, I'm not extremely confident in this game.
I can't remember what Robert called the segment, but you were just talking about what you wanted to see, key players on offense or whatever. And I was
talking about the impact. You're talking about the impact players.
Yeah, impact. Well, I don't want to narrow just on offense. I was booting up the control center, when you got to defense, but I don't want to narrow it down to one player myself. I want to say the offensive line has to step the fuck up, because you got ETN, you got Frazier, and then who is Dwight Phillips. Great running game, not bad. We're doing 100, 120 yards a game roughly. But these dudes are
on Cash Jones.
Yeah,
Cash Jones out there doing things.
He's more of a pass catcher.
He's doing things. He's doing things now.
Well, regardless, these dudes are avoiding contact -2 yards and turning it into something. If we can clean that -2 yards up and make initial contact at +1, +2, I see a running game getting close to 200 yards. But impact player, offensive line, and whoever is playing left tackle, for God's sake, please don't play over your toes tomorrow because I will yell and cuss at inanimate objects.
I think another thing too to your offensive line point. Excuse me. I think you need to watch where Suntarine Perkins goes.
Sure.
I think keep in mind, Princely, we saw him at Florida, but I do think that that's something that we've got to be mindful of as well. They've got a lot of good defensive players. I want to keep that in mind.
They do.
They've done really well at stopping the run, but you still have to be able to run the ball effectively, right? You have to be able to do that. Now, my question is, how do you attack it? I think you attack outside zone. You're right. I think Georgia does a lot of good counter, right? But I think outside zone in this game might be more beneficial in that type of run style.
I think counter's only been good in the fourth quarter.
It just depends on, again, what they want to do. Like, keep in mind,
scheme,
defensively, they like to stunt at the line. They do a lot of stunts, and that can cause problems, especially for pulling guards. So you got to be careful on the counter. I think outside zone, it will impact the stunts. If they want to slide, right, that's one thing. I think, again, though, when you look at the linebackers.
How do you think they're going to load the box? Yeah, that's actually where I was.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you going to be worried if we only send 3 or 4? Like, I think with
Georgia
Dart,
defensively.
Yeah, I think with Dart, we've got.
I think you're going to have to. I think you're going to send. I think you're going to stick to normal. I think you go with 5, right? I think you want to match 5 for 5. At the very worst, you got to do 5 for 5, right? If you need to switch, right, you might be able to send 6 if you at times. Schumann is very good at dialing up pressures and knowing when to send them.
Yeah, if Georgia lives in, if Georgia puts 6 people in the box consistently, it's a bad day. It's a real bad day. I'm talking more Ole Miss. Like, what are they going to do?
Well, their offensive line is very suspect, and I think Georgia has to attack that.
Absolutely,
you have to attack it, right?
Yes,
I'm not.
Yes,
and to add into the fact that they've had
with our healthy
run the ball,
with our health situation too, we have the ability to get home.
Well, you've got to at this point. You've got to.
Chaz is doing good.
If you give Jackson Dart the time, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. He will find the open guy.
He'll become Jalen Milroe. To be honest with you, he can scramble too now.
I'm not calling him Milroe, but I definitely think he's shown a propensity to pull the ball down and run. If
he can get 7 yards, no problem.
Should let's see, Armando says, should Bobo go up tempo? I think so. I'll explain why.
Please.
Last year,
caveat.
Hold on. Georgia tried to run tempo last year, and if you remember, defensive players just started flopping, just falling out of the sky. Just bloop, 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 bloop.
Oh shit! It is Ole Miss. You're right.
Georgia. Keep in mind, Georgia running tempo is one of the most dangerous teams in the country. When we run tempo, it is terrifying for opposing defenses,
especially now. And I'll tell you why. Because when we run tempo, it takes away Carson Beck's ability to overanalyze a play and just go with what he was taught, revert back to his training and his instincts, and he doesn't overthink something and try to make something happen, right? Well, when we get into tempo, I think, to me, the second half of Alabama is the prime example of this. When he is put in the situation where he just has to react. He's not trying to overthink it. He's not trying to be the hero. That's when Georgia is dangerous as. Can I say fuck here?
Of course.
Okay.
47.
That's when Georgia is dangerous as fuck. Okay? Like, bro, when we get in a rhythm and we start getting shit going, and Beck is no longer consciously or subconsciously thinking, he's only reacting, he's doing, he's reading, he's going. I mean, that's when we are a unstoppable monster. That entire second half of Alabama was proof of that.
But that was also one of two things. That was him being in a rhythm.
Right. And playing
Right.
on fourth down.
Yeah. Now, I want to preface this. One of the things that I like about us doing tempo, you've got the headset, even if you're on the road, right? That makes it a little bit more difficult. But one of the things that I think we do good at is we attack, right? Different things. But one of Carson Beck's best traits, in my opinion, is pre-snap recognition and checking into the right place. Out of all these picks, I want you to understand this. Out of all the picks, how many were bad check? How many were checks into bad plays?
None of them. 3, maybe 2.
It wasn't even checking into the. It was just
it's just looking at the wrong side of the field most of the time. Yeah,
you look at some of them. Some of them are receiver and quarterback
balls,
miscommunication.
him staring down. They know.
Yeah, of 11. Yeah, I watched that Brooks video. Like three of the 11. Like that, 3 of the 11 are his fault.
Right.
The other, we'll give it 3.5.
2 of them are inexcusable, though. I mean, we know this. 2 of them are inexcusable. Not seeing the underneath defender.
Almost. Also, can I say how many has he gotten away with that should have been picked off?
A few.
Quite a few. I would say like 5.
Well, to get back
that have actually hit defenders in the hands or the chest where they should have actually brought it in. Like not that they could have made a miraculous catch, but it should have been an easy pick.
I don't think we should turn this into a Carson Beck shit.
No, and that is not my intention. I'm simply trying to say
it is fair though.
I mean, I'm telling you this though.
It's a concern.
If this is what we're struggling to and what we're talking about, keep in mind once he gets shit squared away.
If
we've seen the potential, but getting back to the original question, tempo. I think even though this season is going to prove me wrong, I don't like getting into shootouts personally. I don't trust Bobo, even though Bobo has done
exciting as a football fan.
Jim can
when you're not turning the ball over is when it's fun.
Jim can attest to this. I stick up for Bobo all the time. All the time.
I've been saying Bobo's not the problem.
No, but
I don't like at least.
But I don't like Bobo in a shootout. And if you play tempo and you score quick and you're only getting 2-minute drives,
I'd be more comfortable with Stetson in a shootout.
I mean, I trust the defense, but
I mean,
I'd like to see first half or 4 possessions.
I'm happy boy. If you get Stetson or a Pavia, you get that guy with that it factor. And I don't feel that with Beck. Again, you're absolutely right, Brad, that this is not about shitting on a Beck or anything like that. That is not my intention here.
Yeah. It's just warranted. Let's be clear.
I have my reserves. Also, Robert, could you bring up our names?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's just a matter of what we desire as Georgia fans, right? Like it's just we want our team to climb to excellence and prevail, right?
Sure. Domination at every level.
And it's just tricky right now because what we know or what we have been proven to see is not the most prosperous version of Georgia.
It's sufficient enough to win, but it's not.
Could we win it all? Yes.
Not playing like this, though.
Could we lose?
Yep.
Yes.
Very quickly.
So we are in a precarious position, and we are treading water, and we don't have our floaties blowed up.
So this brings up an excellent time to transition to this question. Armando says, do you think tomorrow is a must-win for Georgia?
No, I don't think so. Keeping in mind the postseason, how do I want to say this? SEC championship is irrelevant. It's more or less a cookie, a laurel. Everyone wants to win the SEC, but tomorrow's not a must-win. 2-loss Georgia gets into the playoffs, probably top 8. That's all we want.
So you think
We still get the bye week at that point because we don't play in the SEC championship game. We get a home playoff game against a really probably quality opponent.
If you think we have a bid regardless
Yes.
of this
2
game?
loss. 2 loss.
Yeah, something catastrophic would have to happen for Georgia not to make it.
Robert, if we lose this game,
Look at our strength of schedule.
Number 1.
I'm just posing the question. I'm not devil advocating it, but just so both in agreement. Yes, if we lose this game, we're still entirely no doubt we are in the picture, right?
Yes.
I would assume so. Yeah, your margin for error goes down tremendously, obviously.
So we still have Tennessee and Tech after this.
Well, UMass, but yeah,
UMass, but
after Ole Miss and Tennessee, you're done with conference.
Yeah, the playoffs are all neutral site games.
I'm not the most
are skewed points.
I'm not the most comfortable, and I don't think either of y'all are either. If we were to lose this game, obviously, we are. To me, we're at the mercy of the playoff, and I don't like Georgia. I don't like Georgia at the mercy of the playoff committee. I don't like that. I like us to be.
You have PTSD from last year, don't you?
Huh?
Yeah. I said you got PTSD from last year.
Well, Georgia's big
I
money,
agreed with last year's decision, to be honest with you. I agreed with it. I believe we could have beat Michigan, and we probably could have went the rest of the way. But I agreed with last year's assessment. We couldn't beat Alabama. We didn't deserve it. That's my position. You can disagree with it if you want to. This year, well, not just this year, but in general, I would say I would rather not leave it up to their decision. I would rather it be undeniable, obviously, right? And I think losing this game would put us in a interesting position where they could possibly unjustifiably leave us out. Now, I think my personal opinion, I think we should still be in the conversation and be one of those teams that gets the home game for the first rendition of the 12-team playoff. But that's not guaranteed. And obviously that's not comfortable for anybody. But it's certainly not something that I want to see our Dogs do.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's see. So I know so if you're looking at this game tomorrow, there's actually a decent chance of rain.
Very.
Part of me thinks that that's going to bode well for Georgia, because I think Georgia can run on them.
Do you have any word on ETN?
He's not on the injury report, so I would expect him to be a go.
We've ran the ball enough this season, but we've not ran the ball effectively enough. We've not had the propensity to have a great run game.
Dominant run game.
We've gotten better. Well, keep in mind, we've gotten better as the seasons went on in run game.
I agree, but we're still not getting those.
But would you say better is to the Georgia standard?
And you can't. And Georgia's not running 3, 4, 5 times in a row either.
I'm not necessarily. I mean, we have shown a propensity to pass more though.
Oh yeah, I think we're at like a 60-30 or 60-40 split this year. I mean, and I'm not upset about that. I'm not upset about it. But a rain game, does it really help Georgia?
I honestly think so, because we
look
do
at
a
Ole
lot
Miss's run game. How is they got a
crickets.
Yeah. So I guess you're right. I would trust
Georgia's
well
defense
for us in the rain. Yeah.
Ole Miss is I'll keep it.
It could lend itself to more potential interceptions. So
Keep in mind too, I think it's something that people got to remember when it comes to Georgia, right? We haven't ran it as much, but I think what we can do to neutralize their defense, their good run defense. If I'm Georgia, I'm running at Suntarine Perkins. I'm running it straight at them. You're telling me a 6'2", 210, 220 guy on the end of the line? Give me that. If I'm a pulling guard or if I'm a tackle, I'll run at that. I'll run at that.
Mm-hmm.
And it also neutralizes his pass rush ability too.
Right.
Ability to get up the field.
You know, I want to throw an honorable mention here, and no one's, you know, he's gone unnoticed since week 2. But Ben Urasek has finally learned how to block.
Mm-hmm. No, I actually spoke on that a little bit earlier. He's gotten tremendously, like I wouldn't say night and day, but like substantial growth in
he's
blocking.
made
his value
he's made
has
big catches.
grown tremendously.
He's blocked.
Yep.
Like just
he's a big body. Yeah. No,
Armando.
I think they've progressed him to where he is becoming a very prominent weapon in our offense.
So I see Armando saying that we don't have a Zeus, Milton, or an Edwards this year. We don't have a true downhill running back. I spoke on this earlier. I think this is a game where you might see in certain situations Chauncey Bowens.
You think Chauncey will come in over Dwight?
Yes, if you need a 3rd and short, why not?
Well,
he's a power runner. He's a power runner.
What's the status on Evans?
I would expect him to be out. I think he's already listed as out on the report. So.
What happened to him?
Hamstring.
I don't remember exactly.
I think it was a hamstring at practice. Like a pull. I had something good.
Here's a question. Is Starks going to be returning the punts again?
Yes, but I think you got to understand too. Hold on. I understand your frustration, but I guarantee you Kirby's telling him to hold fair catch every single time. He did that before. He's done it in years past. That's what's happening. He just don't want to. He don't want to muff. That's all. That's all.
Maybe you can answer this question.
He's got nobody near him for 20 yards, and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I get it, but at the same time,
I would rather take a fair catch than a muff. But for fuck's sake, like train the boy with some awareness.
He did it. He did it at Jefferson, but he also hadn't done it in a very long time.
Well, that is good awareness to fair catch when you've been nothing but a tackler and not touching balls. You know,
at Jefferson, he was a do-it-all type player, so he did do that. Now the thing about it is,
in your observation, Robert, why are Georgia running backs getting pitter-patter feet in the backfield, other than the offensive line?
Not trusting. Maybe it's not trusting what they're seeing.
Yeah, and besides the left tackle letting people get past.
Like if you watch, think about it. If you watch ETN will get skinny and find holes when you don't think they'll be there.
Absolutely, you will.
But that comes with experience. That comes with just trusting things to be there.
That was an early concern in the season, and I even did this for early in the season demonstration because our running backs would do this shit in the backfield. I mean,
if you've also seen Nate Frazier against Florida was not doing much of that.
No, he was attacking holes or people.
You're right. He was going. I mean, he was.
ETN was attacking people as well. I think you're overcharacterizing what Branson was doing in Clemson because it was
Branson. Keep in mind, Branson before things happened.
I was not
coming off of that injury. Coming off that injury, a lot of that is mental, man. Mental games, not trusting your legs, not trusting what you're seing because it's been so long.
Early Nick Chubb kind of feel, right? Like,
I mean, Chubb's a unicorn, man. I wouldn't do that.
No. I'm talking about early when he was coming back. Like you could sense the hesitation.
I mean,
it works and to be fair, it works for other backs too. Think about Le'Veon Bell. I know it's not Georgia, but think about Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon would sit there
stays in the backfield. Yeah.
When he was at Pittsburgh, he would stand still and then hit a hole. But a lot of it is just accelerating into the holes, finding creases. That's something that ETN is so special for. He'll, like trust, and really as an offensive lineman, all you got to do is just put forth effort, and ETN most likely will make you right. If you just block to the whistle, there was a play where Trust pushes down blocks I think it was the end. He down blocks the end, and what looks to be from the backside of things, it looks like he pushes him into the hole that ETN's supposed to be. However, ETN kind of just bounces it right off of Trust's ass while he pushes him away and it hits the hole, creates a new crease, and he's gone. Not for a touchdown or anything, but it can definitely be, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But back to what Armando is saying, I don't think who's the two ACC, SMU and whoever they play in the ACC championship?
What was the question?
So let me get back to it. He said the ACC putting two teams in could hurt Georgia's chances with two losses, especially if SMU beats Miami. The committee would put Miami over Georgia. I still think Georgia being in the top of the SEC.
Georgia's strength of schedule will help them a long way.
Absolutely. And SEC is going to get 3 teams in minimum, I think. I don't know. Big Ten's actually, they might be the ones getting the most teams in this year. They're looking pretty strong. Pretty strong. But I see Georgia going in no less than the 8 seed with the second loss.
Well, I think Georgia, I don't know. I just don't.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, they had Alabama in the first poll. Like, what are we doing? They don't even have Vanderbilt ranked, but they got Alabama as the 10. So,
I don't really know, to be honest, but I definitely think it's interesting.
sure.
I think Miami can get got, but Cam Ward is just being Cam Ward and doing Cam Ward things this whole time.
That's a good point. What's our opinion on the college football playoff rankings dropping us to number 3 versus the AP poll having us at number 2? I guess, Brad, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I'm typing. What was that?
The college football playoff putting us at 3 while AP had us at 2. What do you think of that?
It's irrelevant. You have to give props to Oregon and Ohio State because they had the head-to-head. That's it. That's the only reason. They're showing a lot of hate to Indiana. They're showing a lot of hate to BYU. They could put Georgia at 7, and it would be fair in my estimation. But we'll see. Teams still got to play. We have 3 more weeks before it really matters. I mean, the rankings matter now, but the next 3 weeks, the third week is the most important week of those rankings. So,
right
again, back to this second. If we take a second loss here, Georgia's going to be fine, specifically because of the strength of schedule. What about you, Robert?
I think you'll be fine. I think that you got to be careful. You don't want to lose. Really, we don't want to lose any games because once you lose 2 games, then it's out of your control. It's
right.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So,
100%. No, and I'm with you, Brad. Peaches and cream. That. Yeah, it's not of dire importance at this moment, right? But it does give an insight of what their thought process is now, and I don't think they're right. Obviously, there's a little bit of red and black glasses to that, but at the same time, I think we have earned the number 2 spot. I do think we're better than Ohio State. But we have plenty of time to prove that. We have this game coming up. We have Tennessee, both top 25 matchups. What are they both ranked? What's Ole Miss at? Right
Ole Miss is 16. Tennessee is, I think, like 8.
Yeah.
16 and
But
8.
I want to, we talk about our strength of schedule, and this is probably one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's tough. Very tough.
But I think the same next year too.
Well, keep in mind, I mean, as we'll kind of get ready to wrap this aspect of things up and then move on to the next segment.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at up to this point, right, and what Georgia can do if they win against Ole Miss, the fact that you've only lost one game in that schedule while playing the way you have, that's crazy.
The potential is like if Georgia ever played a clean game, firing on all cylinders on both sides of the ball, there is not a team that could beat them. I don't even think they'd give up points. They'd probably drop.
They'd give up points. They'd give up points. No, they'd give up points. I think we've now, to be fair, we've played a lot of explosive offenses. We've played a lot of strong teams. So when people look at stats and they look at the fact that, right, this defense has given up more points on average than years past.
Right.
Don't trust that because this schedule is the hardest I think we've ever seen. And like I said, in my lifetime, this is the strongest one I've ever seen. So I'm not worried about the stats on that as I'm looking at wins.
Sure.
Looking at wins because 2013, keep in mind 2013, gave up 29 points a game. We were averaging 40 points. But look at our record. We were horrible against ranked teams that year.
Yep.
So I think that matters. I think you look at, like, we get too caught up on stats. We get too caught up on stats.
Stats paint a picture, but yeah, that's why I was saying what I was saying. They're winning by double digits.
Yeah.
So what if we want to break televisions and cuss Carson Beck and make fun of his milk commercial on TikTok? I mean, you're still winning games.
Hey, do what you got to do. I mean,
also, can we appreciate how fine his fucking TikTok girlfriend is? Damn, son.
You got to be careful, man.
He is batting out of his league with his Down syndrome.
Some people think she's the devil because she's a distraction. But either way, I digress. I don't really care.
I digest.
Just leave a little testosterone.
Makes my game stronger.
How about we make this for Beck? Okay, you just don't let her touch you Friday night, and just leave some testosterone for the field. Okay, let's just tone it back a little bit. All right.
I still think Carson is a great quarterback, regardless of his interceptions. the fortitude he shows by even being in these tough spots and coming back and still leading the offense and putting up points.
He's got to do better.
I mean, look, Dak Prescott is in the NFL as the highest paid quarterback. Okay, he is better than Dak Prescott.
Yeah, but that's because he went to a team that has stupid money. So that's not. No. I don't know.
Since we're talking about Beck, I think this is a perfect time to transition to our over-under, to our over-unders, the high tough over-unders.
Oh God,
this should be interesting. So if you've never done this, basically we're one of our viewers gives us 5 over-unders for the week, and we have to just pick over or under, and we see what happens at the end of it.
Okay.
It's pretty simple, right? Sounds right. Pretty simple.
Cut and dry.
Yeah.
Not so much.
It's like throwing
not so
defense.
So we've got 5 of them, and we're going to talk them out one by one. But I'm going to keep pulling the graphic up here. First one, Carson Beck, over or under 1.5 interceptions?
Over.
Do you want to expound?
Oh, I don't
What do
have
you mean?
any. Yeah, no, just over. Instinct
Just
tells
over?
me I have to go with over.
I'm going under.
I hope you're right.
Hold on. The reason I say that, if you haven't heard how focused these guys are in practice,
Mm.
that leads me to believe that they're going to be focused on game day. This is a must in regards to playing efficient football. You have to play efficient football because you will get cooked if you don't. I'm going
I
under.
thought last week was going to be that. I know how high Kirby holds in regard the Florida game and how important that should have been to Beck, and yet he threw 3 interceptions and unforgivable interceptions too. So as much as I'm totally on board with you, Robert, I hope that's the case. I can't. If I were to put money on it, I'm going over.
Well, this exhilarating conversation has pulled on my heartstrings. How many games in a row has Carson Beck thrown more than one turnover interception? Let's count them.
At least 4 or
Four?
5.
4, right? Four games in a row. This
Yeah.
game tomorrow is the game he finally puts it together and gets off of the streak. He gets off. He gets off of the downward slope. He gets out of the valley of the shadow of death, and he will fear no evil. Let's go with the under.
I thought you were about to go fear no faggot from being built like Varsity Blues. That movie,
no.
man. That movie was crazy.
Let's go with the
Oh, you
under
caught
though.
me off guard.
I think he gets his shit together. And he starts.
I hope you're right.
And he starts going back uphill trends. It's 4 games in a row.
Goodness.
It's too much. It's too many times.
I think you see him be more careful with the football. That's simple enough.
I
Moving
could
on
also.
to the next one.
Oh,
Arian Smith, 53.5 receiving yards, over or under?
Jim, you going first, or you want me to take it?
Please.
Let's go with the under because of the rain game, even though that's only 2 catches for him. Let's go with the under. I don't think they air it out. I think they try to – I don't think they're going to do the tempo. I think they're going to try to do long drives, long possessions, run the ball, run the rock, run little hitches. Here's a little tunnel screen. It's going to be under.
All right. Here you go. I'm going to go over because it's going to be an end-around toss, which will count for a pass, and that will be a 70-yard run.
I feel like I'm the tiebreaker. I already did mine before y'all came in, but I'm going to do it again anyway. I'm going over, and I'll tell you why. If you give Carson Beck the time, Ole Miss's secondary is giving up about a first down per reception on average. You ain't even got to go deep shots either. I think Georgia can make guys miss and get yards after play running in the grass. I think that bodes well with Arian, considering this has been the best target of the year for Carson.
Well, I hope you guys are right.
I mean, Robert, I'll say I also hope you're right, but have we been shown that kind of yak this season?
Yeah. Keep in mind, I want you to think
he's on track for 1,000-yard year.
From Arian?
I want you to understand something too. Arian has been able to, if you think about it, right, 3rd and 10 at Texas, and then you go for like 15 and get some extra yards. You get a couple of those in you, or I mean, really think about it. If you sustain the blocks, what I seen against Arkansas for Ole Miss, that Arkansas had receivers running into green grass and a lot of it. Give me Arian and his speed in that. If you give Carson the time, he'll find that and hit the fucking over quick.
Their defensive line is decent though, so
it's good. And they'll speed rush the shit out of you.
Yeah, I'll give you a honorable mention over under that I just came up with. Okay. Over under 3.5 drop passes by Georgia receivers.
Arian Smith over.
No,
Nope. Total.
Oh,
Everyone.
still-
3.5 drop passes over
Still-
under.
no, this doesn't include drops from miscommunications or anything. Like, are we talking like incompletions, or are we talking
Like
about
tou-
like
like
pure
touches
hand
the hand.
drops?
We're
touches
talking
the
about
hand.
touches the hands, you drop them.
Regardless
I'm
if
gonna
it's a
go
bad
under.
throw
I'm
or
gonna go
not.
under.
3.5
under.
over under.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
gonna go
taking
under.
the over.
You
Arian
keep
Smith
this
will have
step.
that by himself.
Arian Smith also caught a game where he didn't drop a single pass against Texas.
I mean, I know you say that. And I know it's true.
Jeff, what do you think? Tell me. Tell me in the comments. Everyone, tell me in the comments. Over under 3.5 drops.
Jeff says 3 drops under. You guys got. Am I hating on Georgia right now? I'm sorry,
No,
guys.
I think
No,
we're, I think
you're
we're
realistic.
hear me out on this.
You're
What
realistic.
I think will happen.
You're going
You're talking
off what is
you're talking
proven.
pure hand drops. You're talking
Yeah,
pure
pure
hitting your hands
Hit
dropping.
you in the body or the hands. Oscar Delp, Dylan Bell, Arian Smith, the drop passes that we have seen throughout the year, over under in this game, 3.5 drops.
I'm telling you, I just think that Georgia and Mike
Do you
Bobo
think or
can-
hope?
No, I think it can happen, and I'll tell you why. If Bobo coordinates like we've seen him, there's
Cook.
going to be a lot of
Cooking.
easy catches and runs if you give him time. It all stems from the offensive line giving Carson time to stand in the pocket and throw.
Mhm.
Because
Pass pro this year has
they-
been amazing, though.
It's been very good.
It's gotten
Now,
better for sure. It's gotten better.
Yeah, no, I just think that I think the mixture of Carson possibly seeing a little bit more conservative, taking more checkdowns. Again, I'm okay with that if it limits the turnovers. At this point, I don't care what it looks like. Just don't turn the ball over. I think when you pair that right there with the secondary's potential to leave guys open running into space, if that is the case and we have guys running open into space and we have more than 3 drops, there's going to be some serious fucking questioning going on.
See, but I don't see that outside of the realm of possibility because what we have been shown, and I don't have the stats pulled up, but I think 3.5 is a pretty fucking spot on.
The tape says they drop a lot of passes.
Yeah,
I don't even care about the stats. I care about the tape.
We drop a lot of good balls that could have and should have been caught. And, I don't know how much, I don't know if y'all heard, but Kobe Young was completely, as far as I heard,
They're moving.
absolved of everything.
The
It'll be
witness
3
or the
weeks.
victim. No, the witness is moving. So the last I heard, the witness is moving to have
To
the
dismiss.
charges dropped.
Yes.
But that still means that the Athens Clarke County Court has to actually drop the charges.
Correct.
If that happens, if they drop the charges, then I think Georgia looks to possible reinstation. Until
Right.
then, Georgia's not moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a big deal. I mean,
It is.
as much as the shit's been tossed around about Georgia's culture and all that shit, I think it's a big deal to kind of bring up while we're talking about wide receivers. Things aren't always exactly what they were laid out to be. And if that is the case and he is found, innocent and, the peoples that are accusing him are dropping charges, that's a good sign. And that's, we'll see what shakes out. That's all there is to it. We'll see what shakes out. Hopefully, maybe he'll be able to get back in the lineup this year, or we'll see him next year.
Let's move to the next one. We have Michael Williams with a half a sack. Does he get a full sack or not? or do you think over, under, or do you think push? Because you can get half a sack. So do you think over, under, or push?
I'll say over. I think he gets one.
I'm going over because that offensive line is not good. Now the question is, the only thing that makes me hesitant,
though.
That's where I was about to say. The only thing that makes me somewhat hesitant is that fact right there, which to me would bode well for Jalen Walker.
He's quick
See,
enough.
you're taking the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, this is a Jalen Walker game. Michael might get. I think it's going to be a push. He'll get back there. He'll get a touch, but I think this is the Jalen Walker, Damon Wilson game.
Watch TID bust shit up from the front.
Yeah, TID, yeah.
Or Warren, watch Warren. I should say Warren might do it too. Like, I think our D line will eat. I think it has that potential type game.
Yeah.
So everybody is everybody over or under?
I'm on push.
Your push.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over. I think you can catch. I think Mike Hill's hand quickness will be too much, just at least one play, and he'll get into the backfield immediately. Watch.
Yeah, I'm over.
Sure. So we'll see what happens. Next one. Cash Jones, 14.5 rushing yards.
Under.
He's been used as a receiving threat so much.
14.5 total.
14.5 total rushing yards.
Rushing, not catching.
Yes, correct. Rushing.
Man, I think he's more of a weapon in the passing attack. So
it makes it so interesting.
Yeah, that's a good line.
If this, I'm gonna go under. I think this game is built for ETN, and I think this game is built for Nate Frazier in the rushing game. However, I think you're going to see, in my opinion, I think you'll see Cash Jones get a couple totes, but I think his threat is going to be in the pass game as expected. They're really good at stopping the run, so I think part of me thinks that you might try to hit the outside with him, and he might get like 10 yards total, but he's going to be used for pass pro or going out and passing.
I agree.
I want to say over, but I don't think when he gets the carries, he gets that yards. Man, that's a tight line.
You usually see him tote the rock inside the 20. Usually.
Yeah,
25.
Maybe for a punch in, but not even really then. If Etienne's healthy, completely different game. If he's not and he is relied upon, then I see it easily. Well, maybe not easily, but I see him at least breaking 20.
I mean, how many carries is he going to get? Let's be real. Maybe 3?
6.
Oh, that's a lot.
You think so?
I think that's a lot.
I think
that's a lot.
Etienne is not fully healthy, 6.
Well, that's a lot of ifs.
I still think Etienne. I think what you're going to see is a lot of screen game as an extension to get those guys moving. And
yeah, I see his reception being much more than that. I'm gonna go under. God, I don't want
under,
it, but I think
so we got two under. We got 2 unders and an over. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Last one, Dominic Lovett, 3.5 receptions.
Give me the way over.
Over.
Give me the way over. Dominic Lovett is going to
gets 9.
He is going to be the key piece.
I wouldn't say he's the key piece, but I think he gets 4.
Has to be.
I think he gets. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna go over, but I think he gets 5. Actually, I'm gonna go 5
it's
receptions.
Supposed to be a rainy game.
If he's working out of the slot, that's even better. This is short stuff. You can get into space.
Yep.
So give me over, but I think I'm calling 5. I think Arian's going to be more involved.
I'm thinking like 7 to 9 myself.
That's a lot.
I'm thinking 9. That's
9. That's a lot considering we rotate so much and Pat
distribute
all around.
But I think
but this is going to be like you're saying, it's going to be those short passes, man. It's going to be those short hitches.
I think
slant,
Carson does favor him though.
Little in route.
Carson's favorite area, and mostly think about it. I mean, we've
Chat,
seen.
what do y'all think?
I'd like to see Dylan Bell get involved a lot more this game.
I want to see
But
some
we'll
good
see.
flag.
But
Jeff, what do you think?
fair point.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's closer to 9. I think you're right with the over the middle slant.
Short stuff, 3, 4, 5 yards.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, if they do quarters like I saw them do against Arkansas, checkdowns are going to be their key. So short to the line of scrimmage is going to pay off.
But no defense has really played quarters on Georgia like that.
We'll
Every
see.
defense plays Georgia so out of character, it seems.
Well, we've seen Clemson do. Well, we've seen Clemson do. Well, we saw Clemson do a lot of zone when they typically were man. You've got teams. I mean, I expect them to do some zone. I expect them to do a lot of zone. Now the question is, how often do they mix up the coverages? I mean, they did some quarters. They've also did a little bit of 2-man stuff like that too. So it'll be interesting to see how that looks. So those are the over-unders for the week. How about we transition into the DGD
I've got one more. I've got one more.
You got one more? What?
Over under.
What you got?
Georgia turnover.
Like fumbles and everything, just turnovers in general.
Georgia turnover 1.5.
Are we talking about takeaways or turnovers?
Turnovers. 4th down's not included. 1.5.
Part of me wants to be Homer. Part of my Homer side wants me to be optimistic and say under, but
not happening. Carson Beck's got 3 in him.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm doing it. Fuck it. I'm going under.
Hell
under.
yeah.
Oh
hell
shit.
yeah, Robert.
I think it's a clean game.
Optimistic.
Keep in mind, we haven't seen it. However, I just get this feeling. I get this feeling that this game is a must-have for Carson Beck in regards to draft stock.
It's a control
like
game,
that.
right?
And I think what you do and what you do by that is you see Carson play conservative. You might not see as many vertical shots. I think you see more checkdowns. I think you even take some more sacks if need be. But I think he's more careful with the football and he protects the football. Also think that you do have to be careful with the running backs. Excuse me. I think you have to be careful with that, but I trust ETN if you're getting the bulk of that. Nate Frazier, I think you got to be careful, especially if it's a rain game. I'm being optimistic. If you call it a homerism, I don't give a shit. I'm going under.
Okay.
I did call the under for the interceptions too, so
I'm going to go over, though. I'm going to go over.
I got to go with the over as well. There's some part of me that just does not trust Georgia's offense to hold the ball when they should. Not that they're going to lose the game, but they just, hey, we're doing too good right now. We need to give you a chance. That's
our MO this year, right?
All right, who's ready? All right, now we move to the DGD Pick'em weeks for week 11. For week 11, so if you're new here, 10 games. We do locks and we do upsets. We've predetermined the games that we had the brigade choose through Twitter polls. So also keep in mind, Jaden's game of the week. For y'all, if you're not familiar, Jaden's game of the week, a 6-year-old picks the game of the week, and he picks for the brigade in this case. If he's victorious, the brigade gets 3 points for that pick. If not, they get nothing. So I wanted to preface that. Here we go. First game. This might get interesting. Army versus North Texas. Now, to be fair, the graphics that we've got pulled up are just from our normal panel. Star Wars Peaches, y'all are special guests tonight. We didn't have any graphics set up for you specifically, but we will gladly add you into this. All right. First things first, we'll let you start. Star Wars, who would you have in that game?
I take Army.
Peaches, what about you?
Even though they lost Baghdad and Ramadi twice, give me the servicemen.
So we got Army. Let's see what the panel says. Everybody but Keon going with Army. And if you're listen, I'll tell you why. Keon is a UNC alum, and he's feeling super confident about them North Texas Mean Green.
Okay.
So I can't be mad about that. I cannot be mad about that.
Fair.
Can't be mad about that. Next matchup, Clemson going to Blacksburg, coming off of a loss, humiliating loss, might I add, Virginia Tech. Who do y'all got in this game? Keep in mind that Blacksburg is a crazy place to play, especially Inner Sandman getting people juiced up.
It's at Virginia Tech?
Correct.
Give me Virginia Tech
Ooh.
winning field goal by 2.
Ooh.
All right. Well, I can't in
overtime.
In any frame of mind pick that. Give me Clemson. I'll even take them to cover the points. I don't even know what the spread is.
Either way, clean sweep across the board for the panel and the brigade. Nah, I think Clemson rolls. I think they get back and get right.
I hope
But we'll see.
I hope I'm right.
I'm just saying, listen, if Virginia Tech comes back and pulls what you just said, buddy, that might be the clip and bookmark of the century. Just going to leave that there if that happens.
I think South Carolina will get them too. But
yeah.
Next matchup, we move to the Big Ten. Washington travels to Happy Valley to take on Penn State. How are we feeling about this? Who we got?
Penn State.
Yep. Give me the Nittany Lions.
It's not Michigan. It's not Ohio State. Give me Penn State, and so does everyone else.
They win the games they're supposed to win. They lose the ones they're supposed to lose. That's it.
They're not supposed to lose this year to Ohio State. Well, I thought they had a good shot.
No, they were supposed to.
Proved me wrong.
They
proved me wrong.
Nope.
They let me down. They let me down. There's no way to get around it. They let me down. We move to the Big 12. The battle out in Lubbock. Colorado, Texas Tech. Who do we got in this game?
I don't want to pick that one.
I don't want to either.
Okay.
I know. I know who's going to win. I just don't want to say it.
It's fucking Colorado.
Yep. Give me the Bisons.
With that being said, the panel, Kobe and Juan going with Texas Tech. Everyone else going with Colorado. We'll see how this plays out.
Little rabbit hole on this one. How about Colorado going to make it to the Big 12 championship this year?
There's a possibility, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
BYU's got him.
BYU's going.
Oh yeah.
I'm tearing out. BYU's looking legit.
Well, as they can for the Big 12.
Say what you want. Fair enough. I get you.
Yeah.
All right. So now we move to the SEC, and we will stay here.
Okay.
Oklahoma taking on Missouri. In Como. You've got Missouri, even without Brady Cook.
Yep. Oklahoma's hot garbage.
Isn't this an old rivalry game?
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Oklahoma's hot garbage. Hot.
Tell that to Arkansas playing Texas.
Something, my brain tells me to pick Mizzou, but Mizzou's been underwhelming and without Brady Cook. Give me Oklahoma in the upset.
Actually, it's not an upset. They're favored to win.
Oh, wow. That's insane. That's insane.
I'm still going
to call it the upset because
their
offense doesn't exist.
The perceptional upset. The panel has spoken. I'm the only one riding Sooner Nation here. Everyone else got Mizzou.
Let's go, OU.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out come Saturday, but here we are. This one might be interesting to see. I guess you could see. Mississippi State going to Neyland and playing Tennessee. I call this the Tennessee tune-up, if you will. What say y'all?
That's a great name for it. Give me Tennessee, but it's going to be close. I think Mississippi State's one of the teams that continues to get better.
Yeah, I got Tennessee. I don't agree with that fully. I do agree they're getting better, but I think they score only 21 on Tennessee.
Who Tennessee
Yep.
only scores 21?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Tennessee's going to be in the 40s.
All right.
That's wild.
Okay. I love it.
The panel has spoken. It's a clean sweep. There's a reason why I called it the Tennessee tune-up. I think their defense swarms Mississippi State. I don't necessarily know if I think their run game again leads them to victory. This would not surprise me if their pass game gets situated before the Georgia game. I just see that could happen too. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, this one is very, very intriguing. This is a 2024 bingo card bowl. Okay. Bet nobody saw this one game being as interesting. South Carolina versus Vanderbilt in Nashville.
Oh, God.
The game of the upsetters of the SEC.
I'm going to let you take this one, Jim. Go ahead.
For Caleb's sake, I'm going to take the Gamecocks.
Oh, what a weak stance. If you're not a college football fan and you're not rooting for Vandy in this game, give me the Commodores. Anchor down, baby.
I think the Gamecocks want it more. I think they're more hungry.
You want the cock?
They're more ambitious. I think the Cocks are going to drop it right in your mouth, and that's going to be the end of it.
Anchor down, baby. Anchor down.
So we got South Carolina. I got Vanderbilt. The panel has spoken. I've got South Carolina. Keon and Juan also have South Carolina. Brigade, Dan, and Kobe have Vanderbilt. It is a split, and I'll tell you why. Hear me out on this.
Cox. I see.
I just think their defense is swarming, dude. That defense is legit.
Dude,
yeah, very legit.
Nasty.
Defense is legit.
How about as a Georgia fan? I am super glad we don't play either one of them.
If you're doing the puns,
here.
South Carolina gives them
here.
Either way.
And then you got here's some other news that's not worthy or applicable to the game, but Diego Pavia is suing the NCAA for another year of eligibility.
It's a distraction.
Absolutely, it's a distraction, but it gives them some heat, some of that pissed offness, they always talk about on the mainstream media.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, help us. Jehovah save us. Now this game. All right, so this game, it's crazy to think this. This is another 24 bingo card, but a potential playoff elimination game.
LSU.
Alabama traveling to LSU. Huge game.
You already done, Jim? That was your pick?
Yep.
Yeah, go Tigers.
So you got LSU. Panel has spoken. The Brigade riding with the Tigers. Everybody got Bama.
Your son's got it right. Your son's got it right.
No. That's not. He did not choose that one. No, sir. Oh. You'll see. Oh. You'll see.
Go Tigers.
I got Alabama, and I think this is the reason for that. This is that. It has that feel,
bro.
It has. Hold on. It has the makeup and the feel of the annual Brian Kelly fuck up game.
Well, you already did that.
Not
at A&M.
Not this time.
Yeah. And he did it. He did his.
Not this time.
He trended right. He lost the first game of the year that he should have won. And then he lost at A&M. He's done.
Also, keep in mind
doing the same thing.
Keep in mind. Hold on. Keep. I want you to understand this. This is a game that makes me think that Milroe gets it right.
Nope.
I think Ryan Williams can have a good game, have a moment. He has that moment. LSU had an extremely difficult time doing Marcel Reed in regards to trying to defend him. They struggled hard.
They also didn't prepare for it, and that was evident.
That atmosphere is going to be nuts. That ain't for nothing. and Alabama is in regression. They do not know their identity. They are beside themselves. I don't think this is a get right for them. I think LSU has enough pieces. I don't say they run away with it, but they get the win.
I don't think Alabama's defense is disciplined enough to keep up with Brian Kelly's offense.
No, they're going to kick balls. They're going to throw mouthpieces.
Well, no, not disciplined as in character, but disciplined as in playing football.
It's also character too, though.
They're going to go get into cover 2-man, switch
you mean
into.
to tell me in this rivalry game
and
we
that's
won't see a bad character call? I think we will.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. That's not what I was referring to when I said undisciplined.
Sure.
I just get this feeling Alabama wins that game. I just get that feeling.
Okay.
Either way, we move to the next one. Georgia taking on Ole Miss. I'm going to let it be known now. Well, no, we'll wait, actually. We'll save it. Who do y'all got in this game?
I've got Georgia. I get them. They got, 8.5 to cover? I think they'll cover, but I think it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I got Georgia too. Little bit of red and black glasses on that one. I don't feel the best about it. And I blame Beck for that.
Well,
hopefully he proves me wrong. I hope he proves me wrong.
Mr. Basement Scud's got us taking it all this weekend, double digits. Congratulations in advance. Don't jinx us.
Yeah, don't
jinx us.
Let's take about 10 to 15% off over there, Squirrely Dan.
The panel has spoken. Clean sweep. I think Georgia wins this game. And so does everyone else.
Yep.
Now, here, guys, this is the game. Jaden's game of the week. This is a game Jaden picks to be the game of the week. This is also the game that he picks on behalf of the brigade. It is Florida traveling to Austin to take on the Texas Longhorns. Even got to choose the graphics, by the way. He gets to choose the graphics for this, by the way. So, who do we got?
I have to cover up my fandom on this, but give me Florida squeaking it out.
What?
Yep.
I'm not. I could hold on. Keep in mind that Lagway could be a questionable game time decision, which is crazy to think.
Yep. Give me
to think.
Give me the Gators squeaking it out.
Way in hell.
Yes. Oh, there is a way.
To be fair, Texas is
fraudulent.
It's interesting. It's interesting for sure.
Nope.
I get
Sark is great. He has great concepts. I love his offense. Fraudulent.
Nope. Texas by a mile.
Well, the panel has spoken. Jaden has spoken. It's a clean sweep. It's a clean sweep. It is a clean sweep for the Longhorns. If I told you the secret, you'll trust me. It never pays off. It would not work for us. It only works for him, for some reason. In the meantime, here we've got now for these two. If you want to throw in a game, you can, but these games are the upsets and the locks of the week, where we deal with spreads to determine our points for the game or for the pick'ems. So I'll read these off, and then if you want to throw in a game that you come across, feel free. You don't even have to bring up the spread if you don't want to. Locks of the week. Myself and Kobe have Notre Dame covering the 10.5-point spread against Florida State in Notre Dame. And Keon, Juan, and Don all pick Oregon to cover the 25-point spread against Maryland.
Oh, my.
That's a lot of daggum points.
That's a lot of points.
It's also Oregon versus Maryland. So.
Yeah.
Also Oregon versus. Yeah.
But 25 points. If I've learned anything from college football, that's a lot of goddamn points.
I think Oregon is good enough to cover that, though, with their offense. I really do. Jeff Hightower says Indiana versus Michigan. at minus 14.5 or minus 14 or whatever it is right now.
That's a great lock. Indiana is not getting enough attention.
Just Google them.
It's also a lot of points, man. I see it closer to 12.
Okay, so you have them winning but not covering, maybe.
Correct.
Okay,
I think they'll win for sure.
You'll have to excuse me for a moment. I've been distracted this week and haven't looked at a lot of college football.
Fair. We move to the upset alert. Which teams are on upset alert? I've got Duke upsetting NC State with a +3. Keon is taking LSU. He's trying to double dip here, but we discussed this and allowed this because of the matchup and the consequences.
He pick Alabama to win?
He did. Now, to be fair, one of the rules was no double dipping. However, we all sat down, and due to the stakes of this game, he wants to double dip on this game. Go right ahead. He's got LSU beating the 2.5-point spread. Kobe and Dan are rocking with Mizzou +2.5 again. And then Juan has got Kansas upsetting Iowa State +3.
Well, I got one. I got one right here, and it's kind of a cheap shot because the game is ongoing and it's almost over. But Iowa is on upset alert because UCLA's got the ball with 2 minutes left and they're up by 3.
Ooh.
Yep. So I took the cheap way out.
You dirty dog.
My upset alert will be Virginia Tech, Clemson.
Upsetting Clemson?
Yep.
Interesting little take there. Not mad about it. Now, with that being said, we'll pull up the graphic for everyone so that they have an idea of the panel and the picks for the week. We'll do a quick second for that. As we can see right here. All right, we're going to just show that off. Let everybody do what they need to do with that. Now, we don't leave without doing our best bets, right? We got 2 games for Jaden, 6 for the rest. Here we go. Here are some. If you want to make some money, these are some spreads that we look at and think that we might have a good shot here at getting some money. Here we go. Got Miami -10.5 at 112 odds. Got Michigan to take the points. I know y'all mentioned the lock. I think Michigan finds a way to stay within there. They lose. I think they cover the 14.5. Got Oregon money line. I might be wrong, actually. Might be a mistake on that. Clemson -6. I think Clemson covers that -6. BYU -3.5 at 105. Duke with the +3. I think you could do money line there if you choose to. But we did the +3 just to be safe. Ride the 112. Jaden's games, he's got Penn State -13. He's got Penn State -13. That's 110 odds. And he's got Florida State covering the 20, or he's got losing, but covering the 26. They fall within the 26. Kind of interesting there. Kind of interesting.
Jeff said Miami's on upset alert. I want to hear more about that. I mean, I know they're.
Give me those working odds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that.
I know Miami's Miami, but
Wow.
Georgia Tech. No, without Haynes King. No, there's no way. Sorry, Jeff.
If it happens, I'm gonna laugh.
Oh,
We'll
greatest college football season ever.
Yes, more crazier than 07 at this point. Gentlemen, that's all we've got for this episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
You know, I just want to say, even though we bitch and complain about Georgia and Carson Beck, we have a great team and the potential is immense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, season's all still in front of us. It depends on execution. Georgia can do it.
Twisting around.
I believe in this team. I think we have the ability, man. It just has to come together. And we've come into form a good bit this year. Obviously, for myself, the big crack is at quarterback, but it's nothing that can't be fixed. We've seen him play good before. We've seen him play to the ability that can get us to where we want to go.
Would you say we could be unburdened by what has been?
We could, but we no longer have to deal with that. That's gone. But no, seriously, I do think that our best ball is in front of us, and what happens obviously happens. But Georgia's in the driver's seat, and let's just hope Beck gets things figured out and just plays a clean game. I mean, the stuff is there. We have good talent wide receiver. Let's catch some balls. Let's not drop them. Let's hold on to the ball, and let's run the ball too. Let's get ETN healthy. Let's get him out there. I'm calling, if ETN is healthy, I'm calling a 181-yard game for him.
Damn. I think Georgia's got to play their game of football. Find your identity.
Yeah.
Be efficient.
I think run the damn ball with our identity.
Play your brand defensively, and I think you go out of Oxford with a win and you get ready for Tennessee. That's just where I'm at with that. But with that being said, gentlemen,
knock on wood, let's stay healthy.
Yeah, that too. Where can they find y'all, man? If people want to find you and whatnot, where can they find you?
Well, I just dropped it in the chat. I'm over at Star Wars Dog on YouTube, the Star Wars Dog on the Twitters. You can find Peaches and Kareem on Twitter as well. He'll be closely paired with myself. He is my co-host on the 11 Deep Dogcast. You can catch Robert there if he's able to jump over. But yeah, that's where you can find us. We're there talking college football after the games every Saturday night.
There you go, folks. Make sure, by the way, before we wrap this thing up, make sure to hit that like button, follow, subscribe, podcast, Apple, Spotify. Leave us a rating and review. Do it. It's all for free. Helps us, like I said, more than you realize. That's all we've got for tonight. We will catch y'all back Monday for the Veterans Day special.
With your friends too.
Veterans, happy birthday, Marine Corps, by the by. I will be belligerent.
Keep in mind, Monday we're doing a veterans call-in show where if you are a veteran, feel free to reach out. We'll get you situated to call in the show. We'll be recapping the game too. With that being said, that's all we've got. We'll catch y'all next time. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.